From the tiny Panzer I to the massive 188-ton Maus, Germany fielded dozens of armored fighting vehicles during World War II. This video breaks down every major tank, tank destroyer, and assault gun the Wehrmacht put on the battlefield. Let's begin with the light tanks. Light tanks. Panzer I Ausf A. Germany's first mass-produced tank wasn't designed for combat at all. Weighing only 5.4 tons and armed with just two 7.92mm machine guns, it was a training vehicle pressed into service during the invasions of Poland and France. Its paper-thin 13mm armor made it vulnerable to almost any anti-tank weapon, but it taught German crews the tactics that would define the Blitzkrieg. Panzer I Ausf B, a slightly improved variant with a more powerful engine and lengthened chassis. Still armed with only machine guns, the Ausf B could reach 40 km/h but remained hopelessly outmatched by enemy tanks. Most were converted into self-propelled guns or tank destroyers by 1942. Panzer II Ausf C. Recognizing the Panzer I's weaknesses, Germany introduced the Panzer II with a 20mm autocannon capable of penetrating light armor. Weighing 9 tons with 30mm of frontal armor, it formed the backbone of early Blitzkrieg campaigns. Its real strength was mobility and the radio in every vehicle, allowing superior tactical coordination. Panzer II Ausf L Luchs. The Lynx was a late-war reconnaissance variant with a completely redesigned chassis featuring overlapping road wheels. With a top speed of 60 km/h and improved armor, it was designed to scout ahead of panzer divisions. Only 100 were built before production ceased in 1944. Panzer XXXV-T. After annexing Czechoslovakia, the Wehrmacht adopted the Czech LT-35. Featuring a pneumatic transmission and a 37mm gun, it was mechanically complex but reliable. Identifiable by the distinctive gap behind its road wheels, it served in the invasions of Poland and France before becoming obsolete. Panzer XXXVIII. Considered the best light tank of the early war, this Czech-designed vehicle was mechanically superior to German designs. Armed with a 37mm gun and featuring riveted armor, over 1,400 were produced. Even after becoming obsolete as a tank, its reliable chassis became the foundation for the Hetzer and numerous other conversions. Medium tanks. The backbone. Panzer III Ausf G. Germany's first purpose-built medium tank designed for tank versus tank combat. The Ausf G featured a 50mm gun, 30mm of frontal armor, and weighed 20 tons. Its three-man turret allowed the commander to focus on tactics while the gunner and loader handled the weapon. It set the standard for crew ergonomics. Panzer III Ausf N. As the Panzer III became outmatched by Soviet armor, late variants like the Ausf N were fitted with a short-barreled 75mm howitzer for infantry support. With 50mm of frontal armor, it served in this role until the end of the war, supporting assault gun battalions. Panzer IV Ausf F2. The game changer. When Soviet T-34s shocked the Wehrmacht, the Panzer IV was upgunned with the high-velocity 75mm KWK-40L-43 gun. This upgrade allowed it to penetrate Allied armor at standard combat ranges, transforming it from an infantry support vehicle into Germany's most important tank. Panzer IV Ausf H. The most produced variant, featuring additional armor, shirts and side skirts, and simplified production. Over 3,700 Ausf H models were built, serving on every front until war's end. Its reliability and adaptability made it the true workhorse of the panzer divisions. Panther Ausf D. Germany's direct answer to the T-34. Weighing 45 tons with sloped frontal armor up to 80mm thick, it mounted the devastating 75mm KWK-42L-70 gun. Early models suffered mechanical problems, particularly transmission failures, but the Panther could penetrate virtually any Allied tank while remaining difficult to destroy frontally. Panther Ausf A. Improved reliability with a redesigned hull, better transmission, and a new commander's cupola. The Ausf A addressed many of the D model's mechanical issues while maintaining the same lethal firepower. Its gun actually had better penetration than the Tiger I's famous 88mm. Panther Ausf G. the final production variant featuring simplified construction and improved armor layout. Produced from March 1944 until war's end, the Ausf represented the Panther at peak maturity. Reliable, deadly, and widely considered the best medium tank design of World War II. Heavy tanks, the legends. Tiger I, Ausf, the icon of terror. Weighing 54 tons and armed with the deadly 88mm KWK 36L/56 gun, the Tiger I could destroy any Allied tank at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters. Protected by 100mm of frontal armor, it was nearly invulnerable from the front. Only 1,347 were built due to complex construction requiring over 300,000 man-hours per vehicle. Tiger I, late production. Late war Tigers featured steel road wheels without rubber rims, Zimmerit anti-magnetic paste coating, and simplified production methods. While mechanically similar to early models, these changes reflected Germany's deteriorating material situation and attempt to maintain production despite Allied bombing. Tiger II, Königstiger, Henschel turret. The King Tiger pushed heavy tank design to its limits. Weighing nearly 70 tons with up to 180mm of frontal armor and armed with the long 88mm KWK 43L71 gun, it could destroy any Allied tank from over 2 kilometers away. Only 489 were built, appearing too late to affect the war's outcome. Tiger II, Porsche turret. The first 50 King Tigers received the rounded Porsche turret, easily distinguished from the later Henschel turret. While providing excellent protection, it featured a shot trap beneath the gun mantlet that could deflect shells into the thin turret roof, a flaw corrected in the Henschel design. Panzerkampfwagen 8, Maus, the heaviest tank ever built. Weighing 188 tons and armed with a 128mm main gun plus a coaxial 75mm, only 2 prototypes were completed before war's end. With armor up to 240mm thick, it was virtually indestructible, but strategically useless, too heavy to cross bridges and consuming fuel at catastrophic rates. Tank destroyers, efficient killers. Marder III. Built on the Czech 38T chassis, the Marder III mounted either captured Soviet 76.2mm guns or German 75mm PAK-40s. These open-topped tank destroyers had thin armor and exposed crews, but provided desperately needed firepower. Over 1,900 were produced, serving primarily on the Eastern Front. Jagdpanther 38T Hetzer. Small, angular, and deadly. The Hetzer mounted a 75mm PAK-39 L48 gun on the widened 38T chassis with highly sloped armor. Standing barely 2 meters tall, it was difficult to spot and cheap to produce. Over 2,800 were built, continuing service in Swiss and Czechoslovak armies into the 1960s. Jagdpanzer IV, marrying the Panzer IV chassis with a low-profile superstructure mounting a 75mm gun, later variants received the powerful 75mm PAK-42 L70, the same weapon as the Panther. With sloped frontal armor up to 80mm thick, approximately 2,000 were built as a practical alternative to turreted tanks. Nashorn. The Rhinoceros mounted the deadly long 88mm PAK-43/1L71 gun on a Panzer IV chassis with minimal armor protection. Its open-topped fighting compartment left crews vulnerable, but its gun could engage enemy armor at ranges where return fire was ineffective. Approximately 494 were built for long-range defensive operations. Ferdinand Elephant. Built on rejected Porsche Tiger hulls, it mounted the massive 88mm PAK-43/2L71 gun in a heavily armored casemate. Weighing 65 tons, with frontal armor up to 200mm thick, only 91 were built. While nearly invulnerable from the front, It was plagued by mechanical breakdowns and initially lacked close defense weaponry. Jagdpanther, often called the finest tank destroyer of the war. Combining the Panther chassis with the 88mm PAK-43/3L71 gun, it offered excellent mobility, superb armor protection, and devastating firepower. Only 415 were produced between 1944 and 1945, but those that reached combat were extraordinarily effective. Jagdtiger, the heaviest armored fighting vehicle to see service. Weighing 71 tons and armed with the massive 128mm PAK-44L55 gun, it could penetrate over 200 millimeters of armor at 2,000 meters. Only 79 were completed, and mechanical reliability was abysmal, representing German engineering at its most excessive. Assault guns, infantry support. Stug 3 Ausf A. The early assault gun, originally designed with a short-barreled 75mm gun for infantry support. Lacking a turret gave it a very low profile, making it difficult to spot. While initially firing only high-explosive shells, it proved the concept of turretless armored vehicles was viable. Stug 3 Ausf G. Upgunned with the long-barreled 75mm Stug 40L48, the Stug 3 became Germany's deadliest tank killer. Over 10,500 were built, making it the most produced German armored vehicle. Statistically, Stugs destroyed more Allied tanks than Tigers and Panthers combined, achieving higher kill ratios due to their low profile. Stug 4 Dash. Essentially, a Stug 3 superstructure mounted on a Panzer IV hull, created when Stug 3 production facilities were damaged by bombing. Around 1,140 were produced, functionally identical to late-model Stug 3s and serving the same role until war's end. Brummbär. Sturmpanzer IV. Designed specifically for urban combat, the Grizzly Bear mounted a short-barreled 150mm Stu H-43 howitzer. Its thick frontal armor, up to 100mm, allowed it to advance into direct fire positions to demolish fortifications. Only 306 were built, seeing action from Stalingrad to Berlin. Sturmtiger. A rare beast built on recovered Tiger I chassis, the Sturmtiger fired a massive 380mm rocket-propelled depth charge, designed to demolish entire city blocks. Only 18 were built, seeing action during the Warsaw Uprising and Battle of the Bulge. Each round weighed 345 kilograms. Self-propelled artillery. Vespa. The Wasp successfully converted the obsolete Panzer II into a mobile 105mm howitzer. Fast and agile, it could shoot and scoot, keeping pace with Panzer divisions to provide immediate fire support. Its mobility proved more valuable than its relatively light firepower. Hummel. The Bumblebee carried a heavy 150mm howitzer on a dedicated chassis, combining Panzer III and IV components. Weighing 24 tons, it delivered devastating indirect fire, but had limited ammunition storage. It was the heavy hitter of German mobile artillery batteries. Grille. The Cricket mounted a heavy 150mm infantry gun directly onto the Czech 38T chassis. It gave infantry units the ability to blast through fortifications with direct fire. Its compact size and reliable chassis made it an effective close support weapon. Karl Gerät. A monstrous self-propelled siege mortar firing 600mm shells weighing up to 2 tons. Only 7 were built, named Adam, Eve, Thor, Odin, Loki, Zeus, and Fenrir. They required massive crane support and dedicated ammunition carriers, seeing action at Sevastopol and Warsaw. Anti-aircraft vehicles. Flakpanzer IV, Wirbelwind. The Whirlwind featured a distinctive open-topped turret
housing 4 20mm anti-aircraft guns. Mounted on a Panzer IV chassis, it created a wall of lead devastating against low-flying aircraft and soft ground targets alike. The quad arrangement provided massive firepower. Flakpanzer IV Ostwind. Improving on the Wirbelwind, the east wind utilized the hexagonal turret with a single, more powerful 37mm Flak 43 gun. This allowed engagement at longer ranges than its quad-barreled predecessor, with better penetration against armored targets. Reconnaissance and support. SDKFZ 234/2 Puma. Arguably the best armored car of the war. This 8-wheeled heavy reconnaissance vehicle combined high speed, a fully enclosed turret, and a potent 50mm gun. It could outfight most Allied reconnaissance vehicles with ease, and featured a rear-facing driver position for rapid retreat. SDKFZ 251 Hanomag. The iconic half-track was the battle taxi of the Panzer Grenadiers. With sloped armor and excellent off-road capability, it allowed infantry to keep pace with tanks and deploy safely. Over 20 variants existed, equipped with flamethrowers, anti-tank guns, and rockets. Captured vehicles. Captured T-34/76. German forces extensively used captured Soviet T-34s, designated Panzerkampfwagen T-34-747R. Often superior to German tanks of the same period, they were pressed into service whenever ammunition was available, painted with large Balkenkreuz markings to prevent friendly fire. Captured KV-1. The Soviet heavy tank, designated KV-1753R in German service, featured thick armor that German guns struggled to penetrate early in the war. Captured examples were used by dedicated units on the Eastern Front, valued for their heavy armor and powerful 76.2mm gun.
From the inadequate Panzer I to the excessive Maus, German tank development tells a story of innovation, desperation, and engineering pushed to extremes. Early designs like the Panzer III and IV provided reliable combat effectiveness. The Panther and Tiger became legends, setting new standards for firepower and protection. But late war designs increasingly prioritized technical sophistication over strategic utility. The Stuggy III proved that sometimes the simplest solution is most effective, destroying more enemy armor than any other German vehicle. German tanks dominated tactically, but couldn't overcome Allied numerical superiority and industrial might.